What's up, webheads? It's your boy SpideyQueue. It's Friday, and thank the gods it's Friday. This week is taking a little bit too long for my taste, but you know what? It's all good. It's time for next in queue, so let's get to it. I've got a splitting headache, so y'all have to forgive me. Starts right around in here and then ends up all the way at the top of my shit right there. It's just beating my ass to death, so, but it's alright. We got this covered. Wanted to talk really briefly today about a cosplay thing inside of the Spideyverse, which is, do you use a face shell or do you not use a face shell? There are pros and cons to each one, but I want to cover just a little bit about what I do and a little bit about the other side of it, which I think is cool too. I personally use Personally, I use a face shell. And the reason I use a face shell is I like to be able to swap out different lenses with my suits. As you guys have seen on the 616 suit, right there. Sometimes I go with the bigger lenses and sometimes I go with the smaller lenses. I usually have either my Ultimate style lenses on with that suit or my 616 style with that suit, like the old Ramita ones. Having no face shell means you would have to glue your lenses to your mask, which is totally cool too, but in the end, you can't switch out your lenses if you wanted to try, you know, a different set with that suit. Otherwise, you'd have to peel them off, you risk damaging the face mask of the suit. If you have a second, like if you decided to get this the hood separately and you have a second hood, then that's cool too. You can always go that route. But I prefer the face shell just because it gives you the choice. The other reason I use the face shell is because I like the fact that it stretches the material perfectly around your face and gives you that natural face shape. And by natural, I mean more like that comic book natural look, you know what I mean? Where it's really hard lines, you got a really prominent, you know, pointed nose and a really flattened mouth space towards the jawline. I like that look better. It's the look they use in comic books. If they used that look where you could see the definition of the lips and the ears and stuff like that, they tried that for a little while. I can't remember who the artist was. That's just not a style I'm into. I prefer having, like, you know, that more streamlined look to the face. Streamlined. Again, I'm sorry. I'm just getting my ass kicked by this headache. Not using a face shell though does have a lot of advantages. You don't fog up your lenses as much. You have, you know, complete freedom on your face. It's easier to breathe. You're not sweating as much. So there are a lot of advantages to not using a face shell as well. I think it all just comes down to personal preference. Whether you like having the opportunity to change out your lenses and you like that look, you use a face shell. If you plan on being more comfortable and you want more breathability and you don't want your lenses to fog up as much, if you're not using the mesh, like if you use the dome plastic, then you go no face shell. It all boils down to personal preference, which is pretty much cosplay in general, right? I was going to try without a face shell for the first time, but I didn't like the way the suit fit on my face, which is why I decided to go with the face shell. I much prefer using mesh on my lenses than I prefer using the hardened plastic, like for the dome shape on the front and then the two-way vinyl. You see a lot better with the mesh, I believe, and it doesn't fog up at all because it's a mesh, right? The only disadvantage with the mesh is if you don't paint the inside properly, if you don't get it like a nice black and good coverage, you do get a ton of sun glare. With a lot of the plastic, you know, lens makers right now, a lot of the guys using the dome plastic, they're using a lot of anti-glare stuff, and it does shine really nice, but it fogs up. And that's what was the one thing that was bothering me with my T-Jack set, is as clean and as good as the lenses look, they fogged up way too much for my liking. And then there's, you know, the preferences for that. Do you like the hardened plastic look where there's a dome, or do you try to go the mesh route like I go and try to dome it yourself? And again, all comes down to personal preference. There are a lot of guys who like the thicker band on the lens where you have it like a 1/4 of an inch thick. I happen to like that because it gives you a lot more room to bevel. There are guys who like it really flush to the face where they go 1/8 and even 1/16 as a lens frame, and it just looks really nice and flush. They bevel it. It doesn't take a lot to bevel that evenly, so there's a lot of that too. And then there's the question of, do you use Sintra for your lenses? Do you use EVA foam? Do you vacuum form them? Do you cast plastic for them? There's a whole wide range of doing it. So even just the conversation of do you have a face shell or not, everything kind of plays into each one. How it's going to mold to your face if you decide to go, you know, no face shell. So, like I said, what it all boils down to is personal preference for what you like to use and what your comfort level is. I personally love making my own lenses, and I've been trying to craft into face shells. I have a vacuum former at home. I just haven't been able to build a buck yet that works for me. I've got the clay in the back seat right now. I will be sculpting one hopefully soon. I don't think I'd be making them for retail. I might if someone wants like a custom set or if somebody really enjoys the way I make my lenses, but otherwise I enjoy making, you know, the face shells for me, and it'd be nice to, you know, swap out face shells for different things, for different types of lenses that I would like, or to have face shells cut different ways. But like I said, everything's personal preference. that's all, guys. Just wanted to rap with you for a bit about that. So, hope you enjoyed it. But why don't we go ahead and wrap it up? And as always, if you like what you saw today, why don't you go ahead and click the like button. And if you plan on sticking around, why don't you go ahead and subscribe too. If you can think of a couple people who are on the fence on whether to go Faceshell or no Faceshell, why don't you share the video with them and spread some love on the channel. But as always, guys, thanks for hanging. I'm SpideyQueue. Lots more coming from your boys. So as always, stay tuned, y'all.